appreciate you all tuning on in to another exciting episode of Dbacks Dispatch as the trio is back once again. Brandon on your left, Brendan on your right, Gabe on your left, and then myself, Brett, in the middle. As we appreciate you all tuning on in here, as this is the final off-season, final podcast of the year so far, where we don't actually have D-backs baseball to discuss. Thankfully, feels like a long winter, but one more sleep, and we finally get D-backs a meaningful baseball back. It's to me it feels like a holiday. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it, but I always have it's kind of like going back to school. Growing up, it's like the day before you go back to school, last day of summer vacation, that Sunday. I could never sleep before school, and I'm always just like super excited. I feel like I'm gonna have the same kind of excitement keeping me up as man. We're finally through spring training, and we are ready to go, ready to rock and roll on this 2026 that I feel like could be in for some surprises, could be in for some good times, bad times, disappointment. Hey, it's a 162-game season. We are here for the ride, and we appreciate you all tuning on in and joining along with the ride for us. Before we dive on into everything, just honestly, guys, what are your thoughts on how fast spring went? What's your excitement level on a scale of 1 to 10? And how ready are you to just, already be tomorrow, already see first pitch? Unfortunately, in LA, so we're going to see the dumb fucking ring ceremony. But once we're all past that and we can actually get on to real baseball, how excited are you?
I guess for me, it went by relatively quick. I mean, there's a period there in December and January, which was really rough. Like, it was just so slow and just nothing going on. Like, so many players hadn't been signed. The D-backs weren't doing anything. And even, like, my personal life, just not much was going on. It was pretty boring. So that felt like it took forever. But once, pitchers and catchers reported, it felt like it started to go a lot quicker. And then with the WBC, it just felt like everything just got put into hyperdrive. And now suddenly, a month later, we're here and we're ready for opening day. So I am really excited. Like you said, I don't think I usually sleep either before opening day. It's kind of hard to, because you're kind of just like, oh, you're excited, but you're also like, not just for the D-backs, for all the other teams. You're looking at the schedule, like, all right, who's going first? Which team am I listening to at 10 in the morning on the East Coast? Like, who am I listening to? Who am I watching? So at least it's gonna, make the day go by really fast tomorrow. And I'm excited to see the D-backs finally play, finally be able to see a lot of these guys, perform. Guys like Lawler, like, it's gonna be exciting to have him open up the season with the team. But obviously we're going to get into it a little bit later, but I'm not 100% confident in this team as of right now. So we might be in for a really long month, as we discussed before, with just an absolute gauntlet of teams that the D-backs are going to be facing this upcoming month.
Yeah, so the D-backs roster and everything built together will be put to the test very quickly early on. We'll definitely dive into that. But yeah, say the WBC made the offseason, or like especially spring training, fly by. I know, like, in the offseason and, like, December and January, it was a little bit rough there where we're like, dude, there's, like, no news, especially D-backs news. There wasn't really much going on outside of, the Nolan Arenado trade, the Carlos Santana signing, some things like that. And obviously bringing back Kelly and Gallen, but wasn't really anything super crazy going on in our neck of the woods. So it's just nice to finally be back and ready to go to where every day, or at least every other day, we actually have something to talk about and actually something to be excited about, and I'm just pumped. And then anything that we discussed tonight, by the way, in the chat, I know we got our man Kevin Solorio in the chat with us saying we live. Yes, sir. We're glad to have you along with us. Anybody listening as well, whether you're lurking and whatnot. Whatever we're talking about, whatever discussions, whatever questions I have for the gentlemen here, I would love to have your guys' input as well. It's not just us in here. I'd love to have your guys' thoughts, inputs, and all that, because that's a beautiful thing about sports and life is a lot of people have different opinions, different takes on things. We love to have you guys be a part of that as well. And whether it's tonight or any show throughout the season, just keep that in mind. Always feel free to jump in and get in on the discussion here. But Brandon, going to you, my friend, how excited are you going to this season? How fast or slow did it seem like spring training and the offseason went in general? And just how much sleep are you going to get tonight now that we have official D-backs baseball starting tomorrow?
I am beyond excited for the season. I think the start of Major League Baseball season is literally one of the best times of the year. In my opinion, it should be a national holiday. Like, we should have that day off. It is such a great time. Off season, like, I don't know. Like there were portions where it felt like it was dragging on, but there were some portions where it felt like it was going pretty quickly. Um, then we got spring training started, and I knew as soon as that started, we were getting the World Baseball Classic, so we were getting competitive baseball before the actual season, which is always exciting. I like watching games that actually matter. Like spring training, I can watch it for about a week, and then I just stop caring, which is kind of what happened. Like once the World Baseball Classic started, I did not give two shits about the Diamondback spring training. Not gonna lie,
No.
I really did not care too much.
I mean, like I cared and like follow along guys with like Lawler and all that, but it was more of like, all right, I'm checking the box score for a few
I mean,
results.
we couldn't watch like
Yeah,
three
nine
fourths of the games, so it's hard to
travesty.
like. It's kind of hard to kind of get excited when you can't really watch it, and the prices are just absolutely ridiculous to attend.
Yeah,
So that's why I do about one per year. Like there were a couple of other games I was like, I kind of want to go, but then I'm like I really don't want to spend the money. Uh, so it's gonna be interesting because right out the gate, we are gonna know how this season is going to go.
yeah,
This schedule to start the season is a gauntlet. So, and we bullpen is still just in shambles. Oh my god. Um, I just oh brother,
yeah.
it's gonna be tough to watch. Um, it's gonna be just like last season. Like we're gonna go into these games like I don't feel comfortable with this lead because of this bullpen. So I'm just hoping we have a couple of guys that bounce back, like Ginkel and Thompson are the two that come to mind. So we'll have to just wait and see how the season goes.
Yes, I definitely some question marks. Definitely some, just like every other season. There's always going to be a few areas where we're maybe not as excited. The depth might get tested a little bit early, and the actual quality of the depth that might be there will definitely put to the test early on. But I'm just either way. It's everybody has a shot there. I feel like other than the Rockies, I feel like they're already eliminated from the playoffs. But yeah, we'll definitely have more on the start to the season and how much we're going to be tested because boy oh boy, I thought just the first like 9-10 games were going to be rough, but the entire like first half of April is just going to be an absolute not even just the entire first half of April. We have like two series in all of April that you might be like you can maybe a little bit lighter, but it's going to be brutal. Say I know our man Bubba here, AZ Bubba. They're excited. We can already tell their excitement and their optimism on the schedule and the roster this year. They say fourth place here we come, which hey, you never know. You never know. It could be fourth place. It could be second or third. I don't know if we'll be in first, but I will take it. Our man Jose Camacho saying, how do we feel about no lefties? We're definitely going to dive into that here as our first topic on the roster and all that. So that was a perfect segue. But before we get into that, our man left on bases too often is Zach Cattell Marte on the left. It might look like it, but no, it is not. It is not Mr. Marte. It is our absolute ball knower, the Gabe Stradamus and Gabe. But I mean, I guess fair enough. Gabe, I don't know. I'd take that as a compliment. At least you're getting compared to like good players. I get, people are always
Yeah.
like, you look like Mike Clevenger. I'm like, oh no, no, he's a piece of
Yeah,
shit.
like at least Cattell seems to be a good person. I do own his cleats. I will say that I do own a pair of his cleats.
Well, there you go. There you go. And you know what? You're going to be the Cattell Marte of the podcast here going forward. I guess we found your nickname. But going into our first topic here on this Wednesday evening, day before the actual regular season begins, the D-backs, obviously with spring training, there's so many reassignments, there's so many cuts. You get to see the roster getting trimmed down to what we're going to see kind of going into opening day, and that is officially here, as every part of the 26-man roster is fully set, solidified, ready to begin some real baseball here. The pitchers there, obviously Taylor Clark in the bullpen. You got Gallen, rotation, Ginkel, Hoffman, Loizaga, Johnny Lasagna, Juan Murillo, which I saw a couple slander names for him. One was Walk Murillo, and then there's one that I came up with, which was Ball for Rio, because it seems like he just walks everybody. Ryan Nelson fought Erod in the rotation to join with Zach Gallen. Joe Ross, the veteran, and honestly, one time, I'm a little surprised he made it, but hey, he had a pretty solid spring. The one-time D-back and return D-back, Paul Sewald, who looks like is going to be our opening day closer. Michael Soroka, who's so far going to slot into the rotation as well until Merrill Kelly comes back. And then good old Ryan Thompson. Infielders, obviously, Arenado, Marte, Perdomo, Santana, Smith, and then Ildemaro Vargas. Vargas has just had back-to-back springs where he just kind of hit the cover off the ball. I'm glad that Vargas is back. He's just a really solid depth position. The outfielders, you got Barossa, Carroll, and Thomas. Barossa, he's another player, had a really solid spring. I know we've always had our criticisms of Barossa himself, so hopefully this is the year he can turn around a little bit, maybe just hit a little bit better. We know he's a great defender. Just the bat's always been lacking, so if the bat can, kind of match what he's been doing in spring training, I'd be very excited about that. Catchers, James McCann, Gabby Moreno, obviously no surprise there. And then the utility positions, Tim Tawa and Jordan Lawler. I know Jordan Lawler's probably going to get more outfield time, but he can technically play infield, so they do have him listed as utility. The big talking point, obviously, I know a lot of fans there's been multiple podcasts, multiple articles and all that kind of highlighting, and I would say rightfully so, questioning the decision making when it comes to the pitcher's side. We're not even just, in all the pitchers making the opening day roster, there is one lefty, and that is Eduardo Rodriguez. Obviously, that's our starting pitcher. So you might be like, well, what do you mean about the bullpen? Like, usually in the bullpen, you want at least one lefty, maybe two, to get out some of the tougher lefties. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the guy Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and then even the nostalgia Kyle Tucker. Those guys are all lefties. Unfortunately, the D-backs are not going to have any left-handed specialists out of the bullpen to kind of counteract the lefties. I know Ohtani and Freeman both hit lefties. I mean, Freeman, I feel like hits lefties better than righties at times. They're all good hitters either way, but still, going into the season without any lefty specialists, I know the lefties that we've had, like Brandon Garcia, has struggled a little bit. It's making the trade of Kyle Backus, which I think even at the time kind of left some questions, and it's like, how does all scratching your head, like, why would you get rid of Backus for pretty much a bag of chips? And we're not having any lefties to start the season. I personally am not too excited. Again, I know off just spring alone, there's not many guys that, fully earned that job, but not having a single lefty, not even going after any in the offseason. Letting Danny Colomb basically go until like the first week of spring training unsigned, where you at least could have, put a waiver out on him or put a flyer out on him, has me a little bit worried on what we're going to be seeing here, especially. We're facing the Dodgers, we're facing the Mets, we're going to be facing the Phillies. Like, that's the Otanis, the Freemans, the Schwarbers, the Sotos of the world. When you get to Baltimore, the Gunnar Hendersons. Like, there's a lot of lefties in this first month alone that we're going to have to be facing, and we're not going to have any kind of lefty specialist to counteract that in the lineup. So, looking at what we have on the 26-man roster, I know the big talking point will be the no lefties in the roster. So, obviously, give your thoughts on that, and then also maybe some of the other names on this 26-man roster that maybe jumped out to you, maybe some of the ones that had you kind of going like, that's a little interesting, or I guess some that you're like, yeah, that was a deadlock, from the first pitch in spring training.
Have you guys ever heard of the monkey paw? The
Monkey
short
paw?
story.
Oh, yeah.
Short story. So in that short story, Fleming gets 3 wishes, but it's like the same thing as like a genie thing, where it's like you get your wish, but it's not. It's kind of like exactly your wish, but not in the right way. Like the King Midas thing, where you get anything you touch turns into gold, but that means you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't do anything. That's just kind of how I felt. I felt like this was a monkey's paw situation, especially with the way we've criticized both Torrey and Hazen the last couple of seasons, which was this over-reliance and just, frustrating, righty-lefty matchups, especially that Torrey does, where he'll just throw out the worst lefty in the bullpen to face a couple of lefties just because he doesn't want to use a righty against him that has way better numbers. And it's something that we brought up a lot of times. I brought up numbers as well, because there's a lot of people on Twitter who were saying like, oh, well, of course he's using this lefty. Look, it's common wisdom to use a lefty. I'm like, yeah, but look, there's a numbers. Like, there's a guy who is, lefties bat 300 off of him, even though he's a lefty. And there's this guy that, where lefties bat 150 and he's a righty. So it's just something where we said that, and now we have no lefty. So now Torrey can't do lefty-righty matchups. You can't do any of that. And at this point, he's going to just have to put out righties. And like you're saying, especially this first few series, when you're looking at Ohtani, Freeman, Schwarber, Harper, like there's so many guys who are left-handed. And, I've talked about it before with something like Justin Martinez, where it's like, the guy throws 103, has a nasty splitter. Like, it doesn't matter if you throw in a lefty or a righty against him, he's going to hit them. He's going to hit them. He's going to get them out. None of these guys in the bullpen that I'm currently seeing, I'm sorry about the dog. I don't know why she's going crazy. If you guys can hear that. The
It's all good.
but the none of these guys that I'm seeing in this bullpen are guys that you're like, yeah, this is a guy who, an absolute dog. This guy throws 100. He can get anybody out at whatever point. He, None of these guys are that. So I feel like you were saying going into any sort of game, I don't feel confident at all in any of these guys. This team is going to have to score 10, 15 runs in order for them to be able to stay in the game. And I mean, compared to last year, even last year we had a better bullpen, and even then, 7, 8 run leads in the ninth inning weren't enough for that trash ass bullpen either. So I don't know what this team is going to do with that. I mentioned before that there is a guy who, you or if we've talked about there being low risk, high reward type of guys, but most teams have one or two of these sort of guys. So low risk, high reward, a guy you're not paying much that you can just cut. This entire bullpen is that. So this is no longer a low risk, high reward. This is a very high risk, potentially low reward bullpen. Like it's just flipped. You can't have an entire bullpen comprised of these guys, and this kind of just makes the like you're talking about the oh shoot, you just mentioned the guy that we traded, Backus.
Backus, yeah.
Backus trade. It's even making the Blaze Alexander trade look kind of bad as well, since we gave up a guy. I mean, at the time we felt like it was pretty much the, kind of the right move to get a bullpen piece. And Cade Stroud came in here and just, crapped the bed, and
He was
he
not good.
failed. He failed what's essentially an open book test. He came in here and he basically had that spot secure in the bullpen. This team is desperate for bullpen arms, like to the point where we have 38-year-old Paul Sewald out there. There's two guys on this bullpen staff that are under 30 years of age. Everyone else is in their mid 30s. Like to be bad enough that you can't even crack this bullpen, like it shows that maybe this was the wrong move. Maybe he's gonna be better in Reno. I doubt it. It is Reno, but we just have to see what happens there. And for everyone else, it's the same thing. It's just not excited at all about this bullpen. And for any surprises, the only surprise was Barossa, but he also has no options left. So that's just kind of what this team has to do. It's either this or they kind of have to cut him. And then, he is still pretty young. He's about 24, I believe. So maybe with consistent playing time, he would be, a pretty decent player for somebody else.
Yeah, so I mean, if Barossa didn't hit have what like a 1200 OPS in spring, which again spring is spring, but I mean, hey, he's still really solid. I wouldn't be as, or I would have been a little more surprised. But I mean, all the names kind of seemed like locks already, especially the Tawas, the Lawlers, Vargas. I feel like was a lock. To me, it was just the bullpen that stood out. I mean, man, like not even giving Brandon Garcia, like he was the guy that we got for. Wasn't it Suarez? Because I know we got Locklear for Naylor, so we got Garcia for Gino, I believe.
Yeah.
And like he's now, yeah, I know he was a really highly rated prospect in their system, and I know he had his issues like with the control and all that. But not even at least having him there, like again, I get it, but of all the places to have to figure your way out, you don't want it to be in Reno as a pitcher, place where the ball absolutely flies. So I mean, especially if you're not, I'm gonna get. I guess that's if anything, it's more of a high pressure situation. I'm like, hey man, if you can do it here, you can probably do it in the major league level. But still, just a little bit of questionable, especially like we both said already, the amount of lefties that we're gonna be going up against in just the first half month to month alone is going to be a little bit worrisome. But hey, you know what? Like teed it up perfectly in the beginning there. Last year we even brought up how, hey, you know what, if we got a righty that has better numbers against a lefty, go with the guy that has better stuff in general to get him out, not just going off matchups. So I know we as fans, we can always be flippy floppy and all that. So this, thankfully, we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to question, oh hey, is the lefty getting warmed up in the pen for the series, because there will not be any kind of lefties. It'll just be interesting to see how Torey Lovetto kind of picks and chooses like what poison he's going to go with, depending on what part of the lineup we're going up against in these first couple series. Because who knows, there could be a lefty called up after the first week or two when they've had a first couple games in Reno, or an injury, knock on any piece of wood. But it's definitely a little bit of a head scratch for me personally. But before we get Brandon's thoughts and everything, because I know he even kind of talked about guys like Kevin Ginkel bouncing back to their 2023 form would be a huge step and have us a little bit less worried in the bullpen. I'm assuming it's one of your teammates on your team, Giovanni, saying about, I believe, your dog begging everyone in the neighborhood to come to our game this Sunday.
Yeah, it's our catcher and head coach, I guess
Oh heck
you can
yeah, heck
call
yeah! You guys got a big game this weekend.
it. Actually, yeah, kind of. We'd go over 500 and I guess move into like fourth overall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Well then, if you guys are, make sure you guys also follow Gabriel on Instagram because he posts wherever their games are. But you guys can go out and support. I would definitely do it if I didn't have the dumbest work schedule ever at times and work pretty much every time you have a game. But John, I like you calling just called a blow pen, pretty much what it is. You know, that's exactly what we're going to see here. And just in general, it's going to be a heart attack inducing season once again when it comes to any kind of late inning relief. But Brandon, going on to you, my friend, after seeing what we're starting off the season on this 26-man roster, what are your thoughts on not having a single lefty in the bullpen, the only lefty and the entire pitching staff being Erod, which again pitched really well in the WBC final. I know I wasn't on the last episode to talk about that, but if we can get that kind of Erod, it'll make me a little bit happier. But the fact that he's the only lefty on the bull or on the entire pitching staff, what are your thoughts on how they've constructed the pitching staff so far, and then maybe any surprises you personally saw on the 26-man roster now that it's officially announced?
It's a choice, that's for sure. Going with no lefties in the bullpen is certainly a unique choice. It does take away from Torrey being able to use the one lefty that he has, and even though you might have a right-handed pitcher that has better numbers, like Gabe was pointing out, so at least with this, maybe he will use guys that have better career numbers against left-handed hitters, even though they're a right-handed pitcher. Like maybe he does that. I don't know, but it's certainly a choice. The only other lefty you could have used is Brandon Garcia. We don't have many lefties on the 40-man roster. Brandon Garcia and Blake Walston, and Walston isn't ready to come back from Tommy John.
I think he's still months away.
So
Did Philip Abner get hurt, or he just got
No,
sent out?
Abner as
okay,
well.
yeah, that, and then Philip Abner, but I don't believe he's on the 40-man. I don't believe Abner's on the 40. Okay, never mind.
He
Yeah,
should be.
yeah,
He finished the season last year on, I think.
yeah. So he's on. So it's two, but I guess they decided. Again, this is not just on Torrey. Everyone, keep in mind that roster construction is mainly on Mike Hazen. So I guess Mike Hazen decided he just didn't like what he saw with Abner and Garcia and decided to, and some of these guys that had better spring trainings, like Joe Ross, like Taylor Clark, just decided that those were a better fit for them to start the season. That's the only surprises that I was shocked by. Everything else, like of the actual position players, is kind of what I was expecting. Like after Lawler had been playing well, I'm like, all right, he's making the opening day roster. And then obviously with them sending down a lot of these guys like Jose Fernandez and Waldy down to minor league camp, I'm like, well, that pretty much only leaves in the outfield Jorge Barrosa, who's had a great spring, so I'm not mad about that. I don't want to see him playing tomorrow.
Please God, no.
It is a righty, so Thomas should be playing. Outfield should be Carroll, Thomas, and Lawler. Those are the three, and I think Lawler should play in center. Like I don't like the whole him going back for center and left. I don't think it's a recipe for success for him. He's gonna overthink it. He's played in center most of camp, so just have him play center every day. There's no reason why. I know, I think everyone's expectations for this season, you really need, after seeing what we have in the bullpen, you really should. I'm not saying this is going to be a lost season, but I personally don't see how we get more than 75 to 80 wins. Personally, that's just kind of what I see, unless we find some diamond in the, Mike Hazen goes dumpster diving and finds someone, and he just, Ryan Thompson in 23. Find something like that. I don't see us 75 to 80 wins, personally. But I could be shocked. We could see Cy Young caliber Zach Gallen. You never know.
You'd be
It's a
welcome
new
surprised.
season. Like there's so many things that could change, and this offense outside the top three needs to do something. And I think there's a lot of guys here that can. I think there's a lot of guys that can bounce back. And I think Lawler's going to have a breakout season. I personally do. Because I think he's going to be playing almost every day.
At least you should be playing majority of the days.
I don't even think they should play him at shortstop to give Perdomo a day off. I'd rather them do Vargas. Because I want Lawler to focus on playing center field. Be good at defense. That will translate to you hitting well at the plate. I think that's why he struggled last year, is he struggled on defense at third base, and he just didn't really do well at the plate. He did do really well against breaking balls in spring, so that's a big thing.
He basically looked like Pedro Serrano last year in the regular season against any breaking pitches.
Yeah, like it was so like we had like a running tally. It was like how many at bats is he gonna have to start the season before he gets a hit, and it was getting a bit insane. So
it was looking like early season Jake McCarthy, who went like on like an 0 for like 23, 0 for 24 streak.
So, but no, rest of the roster, like I have some hope in the bull. Like there's some good pieces there in the bullpen, like. Andrew Hoffman, that changeup is disgusting.
It's all about location for him.
Yeah. And
Loaizaga, I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm really like he bet on himself. He took a minor league deal and he able to make the opening day roster. So congrats for him there. Juan Murillo is like if he can just get that command. Oh my god. If he could just throw strikes and not have 4-pitch walks after 4-pitch walks. So, I think those are the three that I'm most excited about: Hoffman, Loaizaga, and Murillo.
Yeah, there's definitely a few, areas that obviously if they play well, I think there's definitely some potential there. But kind of what even Gabe said earlier is like this seems like a very low risk, or I guess high risk, low reward pen. If like on the bad days, like obviously everyone's gonna have bad days, but. We're going to need some of these guys to have like borderline career years if we want to stay afloat here throughout the season until we get our reinforcements and, J Mart and Puck back around midway to a little bit past midway of the season, which again, those will be big time big time additions into the bullpen. But still, trying to tread water and not sink a little early on is going to be the big key here because perfect segue into our next topic here is. My goodness, the Dbacks opening schedule here to start off the 2026 campaign is an absolute it's going up against some of the best teams. Obviously, I know going off of last year's schedule, it's going up against some of the best teams, that we've seen. So obviously, we open up the season against the Dodgers, which we have our boy Suge Knight in the chat here saying, "What's a fan ready for tomorrow?" One of our few Dodger fans that we actually truly respect around here, Suge. How you doing, my friend? It is going to be, we were just talking about earlier, going to be tough for us to sleep, but hey, opening day, the beginning of the 162 marathon is always exciting no matter what team we're going up against, but best of luck to you and your boys in blue tomorrow. But the D-backs open up against the Dodgers for a 3-game stand, then obviously they come back here for 3 against the Tigers to open up, then they have 4 against the Braves. And it doesn't get any lighter than that. Then we travel to New York for the 3 against the Mets and Queens. And we go to Philadelphia for 3 against the Phillies. The Orioles, which I know the Orioles were a little bit, last year, like they weren't the greatest team. But, I still think their offense is really disgusting. So you get a good offense like that mixed with our up and down pitching staff could be a big question mark. And then we immediately have the Blue Jays. The ALC or the AL champions from last year coming to town for 3. Then thankfully get the White Sox, but even the White Sox, I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year. They've had a few nice additions in there, so they're not going to be pushovers. And then we end off the month against the Padres. For 2, it looks like, unless the schedule's weird. I don't know why. The Mexico City series. Okay, so we have 2 against the Padres in Mexico City, which, again, the ball flies down there. So, not a great matchup for some of our pitchers that do have home run problems like Gallen and Erod. And then we have 3 against the Brewers in Milwaukee to end off the month there. So, outside of maybe the Orioles and the White Sox, there are so many series on that schedule that just looking at it, we talked about it before the show. I think Gabe was the one that mentioned it. We could be like 6-15 and like almost like 10 games under after the end of the month here. Maybe worse, maybe a little bit better. I mean, I know again, you can't always base this year's results on last year's results. It's always a different team. It's always going to be different results, but not the greatest looking schedule to open off here. It does lighten up a little bit in the next month afterwards. You know, you got the Pirates, the Rangers, the Rockies twice, the Giants twice. So not as rough, but man, this first month is going to be an absolute, just war zone of going through some of the best teams from last year, some of the teams that had some great off seasons. And it's just I don't know. I guess my question to you gentlemen, seeing that schedule there on what teams we have kind of lined up and whatnot, what's your optimism like? And I guess potential prediction on what this record is going to look like at the end of the month. Maybe are you at least a little bit optimistic just because again, the game's still got to get played and these games aren't played on paper, just comparing rosters, not a simulation kind of thing. For me personally, again, I don't know if we're going to be over 500 by many games, but I don't think we're going to be really under 500. I do think that again, if we again, I'm rooting for them to always be over 500. I'm not trying to say like, oh, this team's awful, we're going to be losing. Get ready for a high draft pick next year or a high lottery pick, whatever it is. But I wouldn't be surprised at all for at least 3 to 4 games below 500 after the first month. Knock on any bit of wood I can here. Fingers crossed that we don't. But just seeing that schedule, that's kind of where my optimism's at. I'm curious where you guys are in your heads on schedule wise and how you think this team's going to fare as we get around 1 month into the season.
I think unfortunately my answer is going to be a bit of a non-committal answer, just because I think it's all going to be dependent on how they look for this 3-game set against the Dodgers, because again, we truly don't know what this bullpen is. We don't know what Jordan Lawler's going to look like. So there's a few question marks here that we just don't know. If Zach Gallen could be second half Zach Gallen, if Erod can look like how he did in the WBC, we might go around 500 for this month. But if Gallen looks like the way he did in the first half, if Erod looks the way he has for most of his D-backs career, if every other bullpen arm is just as bad as we imagined they would be, this team might be something like 10-20 by the end of the month. Like, that's a very real possibility. And for the last couple of years, especially in the first year, I got a lot of pushback from both of you guys about me hating the phrase "it's still early."
No, I'm on your side of that. It's just me. I'm on your side of me.
Every game,
Brett has been on your side.
Years ago, it was both of you. Last season, Brett jumped on board a little bit more and was on my side, and Brandon, I think you held on up until I guess June. Then you're like, all right, it's no longer early. But for me, a game in March is as valuable as a game in late September. Like, for me, that's just always the way it's going to be. These games all count the same. They all matter the same. I understand the feeling of saying it's still early because there's still a lot of room for growth as the season goes on. But as we've seen, this team just doesn't make the playoffs if they don't get off to a hot start. Like in 23, they had a good record going in there. 17, they also had a good record. Like, it gets late early. And with teams like the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, the Mets, they're not going to be as bad as they were last year. The Braves aren't going to be as good as last year, especially with the healthy Acuna. There's quite a few teams in the NL, and I think even the Reds got a little bit better as well. Like, there's enough teams that got better and improved, especially compared to the Diamondbacks, that after that first month, they might just be dead in the water, to the point where you're starting to look at some of these pieces they have in the bullpen, some of the guys on the pitching staff, some of these guys on the roster, where you're kind of like, all right, so which one of these guys is going to get moved? And are we going to get that number 1 pick from, I believe, from UCLA? Like, there's a guy who's making huge waves in UCLA right now. I can't remember his name just because I haven't necessarily kept up with college baseball, but there's a guy in UCLA right now that seems to be the 1-for-1 guy. Obviously, that changes as the season goes on, but yeah, I just, as of right now, I would hope for a 500 record.
Oh, Chalowski.
Yeah, he's an outfielder, I believe, or something, right?
Shortstop.
Okay, so
he's
again,
an outfielder too.
An outfielder, so it's a guy that can be anywhere at this point. So maybe this team is going to end up going after him instead. But yeah, if this team is at 500 at the end of the month, I have a lot more faith and a lot more confidence where this team is. But if they again are 10-20, it's going to be It's really, really hard uphill climb. Even if we're able to get Corbin Burns in May, even if we're able to get J Mart in May, June, Puck, whatever, this team can't fully rely on these guys to come back 100% because we've seen what happens with guys who come back from Tommy John. A lot of them don't come back the same until the next season, so we can't just rely on that, and we can just hope that they can at least stay afloat until the trade deadline, and then you can see what pieces you can trade, see if any guys in the minor leagues are starting to blow it up to the point where they can't help the major league roster. But just starting out with as many injuries as this team has and as many non-actual real moves that this team has made, and kind of running it back. And we might talk about it later in the predictions, but like how Brian says, this is a 75-win team as currently constructed. If everyone comes back, I can see them being an 85-win team, but it's just completely dependent on guys performing or overperforming. Guys like Perdomo, Marte, Carroll, Alec, if he looks as good as he has during spring, if Jordan Lawler looks as good as he looks during spring, if we can get something out of Santana, we can get something out of Pavin, out of Arenado. It's a lot of ifs on this team, and all we need is a good month and a half for most of these guys, and you could almost coast your way to a playoff spot the same way like I believe the Orioles did when they were like 10, 15 games above 500 a few years back, and then they just went 500 the rest of the way and just snuck into the playoffs.
Yes, I feel like it's a lot easier to come out of the gate at least like 500, maybe a little bit over 500. Come out of the gates decently well, stumble a little bit and recover down the stretch, versus coming out of the gates and you just trip, fall flat on your face, break your nose, and then you're just struggling the rest of the race where you're not really making up much ground. You might not be as bad as you were right out of the gate, but it's just too hard to overcome that start. So I like the way you put it best, and I know people might think it's a pessimist view to be like, oh well, every game matters here. Obviously, the season's not over, but when a costly decision, whether it's the team playing or not playing fundamentally sound baseball, or the in-game management decisions on whether pinch hit a guy in the bullpen here and there, pulled a guy too soon, pulled a guy too early, things like that matter. And like Gabe said, in March as much as they matter in late September. So you got to treat these games like they matter. You got to actually, like, obviously it's not like they're not trying to win these games, but you can't just go down 10 games under 500 and be like, it's fine. Like, we're going to get these guys back. It'll basically be like the trade deadline. We're going to get some reinforcements. Like, you gotta play. You gotta do as much as you can to overcompensate and make up for the lack that you have on some of these teams or some of the spots in this roster. Obviously, the bullpen's the big thing. The starting rotation is going to be a big question. I know Merrill Kelly. Not many concerns with him, I'd say, at the time, because he's a little bit behind everybody else. But even that game against the Guardians, he looked a little bit rough. Same with Mike Soroka. I know they're exhibition games and all that, but that's still definitely a possibility, even if they're fully ready to go in the season, that we could see that at any point in time. So need the offense to really carry the weight here, because if the offense goes dead at any point in time in this month here, I don't know if I have the confidence in the bullpen especially, but the starting rotation to really really kind of carry the load there. And again, I'd be very happy being proven wrong, but I don't know if I fully have that confidence in seeing this team do it, considering the teams and the rosters that we have lined up for us in this month alone. But I'm always open for surprises. I'm gonna be very happy if they surprise us, and like Gabe said, maybe be like the Orioles a couple years ago and just come out really hot and just go surprise everybody and just play out of your minds and just be insanely hot and be one of the best teams in baseball. But we'll have to see. The game's got to actually be played, and I'm just excited to have baseball back no matter what. Even if they do, like, they could literally lose the first 20 games, which would not happen. It's almost statistically impossible. But even if they lose the first 20 games, I'll still watch every single game. I still love this team, love this sport. Basically nothing will ever get me to give up on this team, whether that's a good or bad thing. But Brandon, passing it on to you, my friend, seeing what we have here for the schedule the first month. I mean, all these teams last year that are playoff teams, over 500 teams, some of the deep lineups that they have. How optimistic or I guess pessimistic are you looking at this first month of Dbacks baseball, and where do you think they will end up record-wise at the end of the month?
So I'm like in the middle with this. Like, I am like a little bit worried because this is a very tough stretch to start the season. Like, these 22 games, So what is that, like a 16% of the season? So it's a good portion of the season. Um, I think at worst 8 wins, at best 12 wins. Like that would I'm very curious with Ken Kendrick. What's the leash there on Tory? Is he gonna just let him, because of all the injuries that we still have? Is he just like, is he expecting this to be a lost season, or does he want to be able to compete? I It's tough. I believe Scooball is the Wednesday game when we play the Tigers, so that's probably a loss. We face Verlander on Monday.
Thankfully
Atlanta,
he's Unk Verlander and not the prime Verlander.
Atlanta, that's a big 4 game series. Like that's like any 4 game series that you have is pretty massive. They don't have Strasburg, not Strasburg,
Strider.
Strider. I don't know why I was thinking Strasburg. Um, so he's not on the roster to start the season. Mets are completely rebuilt. Like that roster is crazy. At Philly is really hard to do. The bank is really hard to play at. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. Baltimore is interesting. Like I think, I feel like they're a lot like us. Like last year was a disappointment, and they want to do better this season. So, and Toronto's the defending AL champs. So, but luckily we're playing them here. So we'll see. I don't know. This is tough because there's a lot that we need to have go our way. Like there's a lot of question marks with this roster outside of Marte, Carroll, and Perdomo. Those are the only three. Like I know what we're getting out of those three. Everybody else, I don't know. Like, is Pavin gonna finally be able to hit consistently? Is Arenado going to have a bounce back being in a new spot? Is Gallon going to be second half Gallon? Is the bullpen going to be good? Like, I don't need them to be top 5. I just don't want them to be bottom 5. I just want them to be a average bullpen. I don't want to see a record of blown leads again. We saw that last year. Like, the amount of blown leads that we had that legit cost us the season. Like, we missed the playoffs by like what, 3 games, and we had, I don't know, like 30 blown league game. Like it was some ridiculous number that I've said this offseason several times. There's no way that they blow that many again. There's just no way. And I think it's because we're going to be losing, so it won't. So it's not a blown lead. So, my prediction for these first 22 games, I don't count the Padres and Brewers in there because I think that's when it kind of dies down a little bit. 10-12. I think if we can hover around 500 in this stretch, that's a massive dub.
Yeah, so I'd be okay with the 10 and 12, obviously, especially seeing where we're at. Maybe at that point, like I said, maybe we get some lefties in the bullpen. Maybe we, get to, who knows, maybe somebody's struggling enough, and then Waldschmidt's hitting the piss out of the ball in the first week or two, and we're like, you know what, we need to hit the break glass in an emergency situation, get Waldy up early. But I'd be very okay with the 10 and 12. Not sure if if that'll be the result there, but gotta be as optimistic as we possibly can here, because pretty much every Arizona sport is always doom and gloom. Rightfully so. We're cursed. We sold our soul for the 0-1 World Series, and we have never been able to recover afterwards. I know I'm not a Cardinals fan, but the Santonio Holmes and Cardinals Super Bowl loss is a big reason. I mean, the Suns choking the 2-0 finals, the Dbacks Corey Seager home run, like. You can go just down to like a whole list on like how cursed this sports city is. Having fucking Alex Morello as an owner of a hockey franchise and ruining one of the few good things we had, and being just, it's hard to be one of the worst owners in the entire state when you're, going up against a guy like Bidwell. But my God, was Morello much, much worse than Bidwell. And now Bidwell has the mantle. So definitely, definitely got to be as optimistic as we possibly can here. But, just I think there's a chance that we could at least be around 500. yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're, way below it, but I would be shocked if we were an over 500 team after this first month. But like I said a minute ago, I'm always open for some surprises. Going into our, I guess before we go into our next topic here, Giovanni in the chat's asking, Dbacks Dispatch doing the 999 challenge. Then he says, win or lose, can't lose after eating a hot dog and a brewski, which very, very good point, honestly. And I guess this is a quick, fun side tangent. Did you guys see the Giants 999 challenge? What it actually is? It's basically 9, like, mini-sized hot dogs. Like, the hot dogs are,
Yeah.
like, half size, and it's one beer that you can pour into 9. It's basically like shot glasses of beer. Where the Sod Poodles, the D-backs, minor league affiliate, their social media account has been going absolutely crazy. Like they're actually doing like the real 999 challenge. They're offering it to where, the actual one, it will be 9 full size beers with, or it's yeah with what is it, a hot dog and a 12-ounce beer. So a normal hot dog, 12-ounce beer, you can get it for $10. So it costs you $90 to do the entire 999 challenge for the Sod Poodles. And then apparently on Thursdays it's even cheaper. It's only $60 or $60.75. So shout out to the Sod Poodles, a minor league team doing it better than a major league squad. Which I get in a minor league team, you're not going to get as many drunk, alcoholics there, slamming brewskis and having to worry about driving home. But if you're going to do the 999 challenge and sell a thing about it, your stuff's already overpriced as it is. Make it worth it. Don't lie to people where it's basically 4 hot dogs and a beer for probably like $50. Like
Yeah, I
that's
think I mean, I'd be down for the 999 challenge. It just depends on what the beer prices look like this year because they've been going up. So it's like right now, I believe it's $5 for the 12 ouncer.
the value beer.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So then the hot dogs went up to like it's $3, something like that. So that's like $60 plus
Problem is,
taxes,
you
66.
can't do that once per inning. The lines do not allow it.
That's why
So
you got to buy 2 at a
Yeah,
time.
this would have to be a like a Rockies game or something like that. Like
Hmm.
just some team that nobody cares about. So maybe for a Rocky series, we can do the 999 challenge that we can just throw up outside or something.
I'll be the DD and I'll be there to record all the stuff. So you guys can I'll be there to at least witness it, and I can be the Guinness record keeper and know that was it actually up to par? Because the nice thing about the 999 is you don't have to actually have, like, I don't know, are the rules strict where you have to have one every inning? Do you have to at least have, like, let's say you get a
My
little behind and you
It
down
has to
2 in one
be, yeah.
inning?
I think it has to be in each inning. I think that's
Okay,
kind of like yeah. Also, I my problem is the beers. Like they have cores and then the other one. It's like a gray one. They both
Keystone.
suck. The Keystone. I don't like either of them.
Yeah,
They're
hey,
not good.
Keystone. Back when I was drinking, Keystone is a great beer for doing like drinking games.
if
So
I
like,
can do Blue Moon, then I'm good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, I
for
mean,
me, it
if
would
you
have to
want
be
to if
like
you want to pay the 15-20 bucks for a Blue Moon and go that route, like,
it would have to be like I don't know, like a sponsored thing or something. Like just buy me 9 Michelobs. I don't know, Apple or I don't know, whoever sponsors whatever games. Like I'll do the full, the the tall boy. I'll do 9 tall boys.
oh God, that's so much liquid. Oh God, I could not, even when I was still drinking. I don't think I could
My
do the
seat would have
999.
to be at like the top of a section where it's like one row and then the bathroom's right there. That's
Or you
the
just go to
only
or
way.
you just set up at those tables. Where, like, the tables where they have like the charging ports where it's like
Yeah.
just open for anybody. You just set up right there where it's like I think it's in right field, kind of above the truck a little bit, closer to the corner where one of the elevators are. It's like one of the entrances. There's bathrooms. There's the elevator. There's one of those tables. Basically, just be set up right there where you're buying your beer. I think the method really is you buy your 2 beers. You go with somebody else. So, like, let's say I'm there. I watch over everything. You buy your 2 beers. You come back. You set them down. You go to a different stand. You buy 2 more. So you already have 4. You're ready to go. You can at least do those. So you're not going every single other inning and trying to buy all those. So you can at least pace yourself a little bit. But you don't want to get all of them at once because let me tell you, you get to the ninth inning and you're drinking one of those tall boy. Those don't stay cold for a full 9 innings. You're drinking warm piss water, and that is not a fun time for anybody involved. But yeah, so maybe we'll have to see, and then it can be like a competition on, like, who can keep it down at least the entire time. Maybe it'll be fun, some fun, like a winner, like one of us or one of you guys will hold it over the other one for the rest of the year. But Giovanni, that'll be something that we'll definitely have to be in the talks with, because I think I'd enjoy it as a spectator being there to watch these two gentlemen
Oh,
duke it
I
out.
bet
And
you would.
oh yeah, and I'd be the one. It'd be maybe we can have it be our first like YouTube video. That's because I know most of our things are live, so maybe that'll be like one of the few YouTube videos we post like on a regular one. It's like Dbacks fans take the 999 challenge, taking on a whole bunch of meat and liquid. But that'll be a fun thing to do. I mean, hey, there's 81 games to work with at home, so there's plenty of opportunities to make it happen. But going into our next topic here is just kind of looking at what we have for the division itself. Getting a couple predictions. This is kind of one of the things I like to do every year. At the beginning of each show, just kind of get predictions, where everyone thinks things are gonna, kind of like file in how the division, at least our division, is gonna look 1 through 5, and then maybe some of the division winners for the other leagues or the other divisions and all that. So we can look back even on the All-Star break and be like, wow, did we hit the nail on the head? Or it's like, holy shit, the team we had to pick first is in 5th place and they are going to be sellers at the deadline. We could not have been more wrong. For me, I think it's easy. Dodgers, I don't think they're literally the Avengers of baseball. The amount of money they spent, they should be winning the division. Once again, if they don't, I'd genuinely be shocked. But I think the Dodgers are going to be winning that division. I think the Padres will be second. I know like they didn't have any like super crazy moves in the offseason. Honestly, you could swap the Padres or the Giants. I mean, the Giants I feel like had a stronger offseason than the Padres. But I mean, we saw today the Giants, even going up against the Yankees, they just got their asses turned inside out against the Yankees lineup there. So Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Giants, whatever order you want to go with. I'd be okay with the D-backs were in third ahead of one of those teams, but like we talked about earlier, I think we're all in agreement that currently with the way the bullpen is looking and, kind of what we've seen from some of these people, 75 wins might be around what the team's going to be at. So probably going to be putting us in 4th place. And then unfortunately, because I like the team, they're the one team in the division I don't actually dislike. The Rockies, I think, are going to be in 5th place. So it's kind of how I have the NL West shaking down there. I think the Dodgers are going to win over 100 games again. I think they might be close to like 105, 106-ish, as long as they don't have any of their starters, die again. I think, and then obviously just the division winners for the other divisions. I think the NL Central, I think the Brewers are going to take it again. I think that the Cubs, it's either them or the Brewers, but I don't know. Just the Brewers, they had one of the best seasons in history, or in their franchise history last year. I know they don't have Freddie Peralta, but I mean they got Mizorowski in a full season, so I could see the Brewers going at it again. In the East, I think the Mets. I mean they just had a roster overhaul. They look disgusting. So I wouldn't be surprised if they take that over there, especially as you got the Phillies roster who didn't really seem to change much, and some of those guys are. I mean, we saw what Bryce Harper was doing in the WBC, except for that one home run in the finale. So if that's the kind of Bryce Harper we're going to see, I think the Phillies are in for aggression. Going to the AL, I think it's going to be the. I think the Blue Jays are going to win their division again. I think in the NL or the AL Central, I think it's going to be the Guardians again. Just what we saw in Exhibition, they've got a much better lineup than what we've seen from them in the last couple of years. And then I think in the AL West, probably going to go with the Mariners once again. With the Astros, the Astros have some of the better odds to win the World Series. I think they're like a top 5 odds to win the World Series in general, which is kind of surprising. I feel like they haven't really had, the craziest offseason, but that's who I have things kind of shaking up there. Obviously, the wild card can be a little bit different, but that's who I personally have as the division winners across Major League Baseball and the order on the NL West in general. I'm curious your guys' thoughts. Again, Gabe, Brandon, we're going to get your guys' thoughts on the division. Everybody in chat, Bubba, Giovanni, Kevin, Jose, left on bases too often. Your guys' feel free to chime in what you think the division winners is as well. What do you think the divisions are going to turn out as? Do you think there's going to be some surprise teams out there? Who knows? Like maybe you're going to pick the Pirates. They finally spent some money in the offseason. Maybe they're going to shock the world. Do you think there's going to be some surprises? Do you think we're all in agreement on how the NL West is going to be shaking down? What are your thoughts on what we're going to be seeing division-wise here in 2026?
So I guess I'll start off with the Central. I think it's going to be the Cubs just because the Brewers don't have pitching. I know you brought up Mizorowski, but the guy's like a 4-inning merchant. Like you look at his stats, he only has a little bit over 60 innings and about 15 starts. So he's the guy that they just don't let go too far. They lost Freddie Peralta. Woodruff, not Woodford. Oh my God. Yeah, Woodruff is also going to be out for a while. They just have no real starting pitching, so I think that's going to be a pretty big problem for them. I know they got a pretty good young offense, but you need pitching, and it seems like they might just have to rely entirely on their bullpen to start off the season. So I don't have much trust in the Brewers. I understand why you do, just because they had a pretty good season last year, but I have the Cubs winning that division. I just felt like they got better. I know they lost Kyle Tucker, but Kyle Tucker, especially in the second half, was just not good for them, just not good in general. It, I'm I'm assuming PCA is going to take a step forward. Again, he is still very young. He's 23, turns 24 this season. He had a great first half. He had a terrible second half. All it takes is just for him to make some adjustments, and he should be another 7-8 WAR player again. So I have them winning, and then the East, I have the Mets winning the division. They had an all time just historical collapse last season. Is just not going to happen again. I don't know what happened, but it was what it was. They're not going to do the same thing again. The Braves, I have them just right behind them. I wouldn't be surprised if the Braves win that division either. But without Strider right now, without any real starting pitchers, no Max Fried anymore, so I don't have as much confidence in the Braves actually winning the division. I do have them making the playoffs through the wild card, and the Phillies not making any real roster moves this offseason. They lost Ranger Suarez. I have them third in that division. I actually have them missing the playoffs entirely. That is one of my surprising picks to miss the playoffs. And then for the NL West, it's obviously the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are just going to have their division until they show that another team steps up. And maybe behind them, it is going to be the Padres, and then probably the Diamondbacks, and then the Giants, and then the Rockies. I know there's a lot of people think the D-backs are going to be in fourth place, but I just don't think the Giants did enough this offseason to take that step ahead. Unless if they bring in the rookie that we talked about earlier, unless if he comes in, makes a big impact. But again, we also have a couple of young guys that can make an impact. And so I have most of the West being around 500. I think it's just going to be some give or take. And for playoff teams, I guess it would be, 6, right? So it would be Braves, Mets, Dodgers, Padres, Brewers, and Cubs. As of right now, I don't have the Diamondbacks in the playoffs.
That's fair. So what's your predictions for the American League?
The American League, I was telling Brandon earlier, I changed my answer from the Blue Jays to the Yankees just because of the way they played. Their pitching is very good, and they're
They had
getting
the
Garrett
best
Cole.
offense last year. They had scored almost 900 runs.
Yeah, and today they scored 7 runs, and that was with the fact that Aaron Judge struck out 4 times. He looked terrible today, and they were
It's like
still able to
World
put up
Series.
quite a few runs, especially against Logan Webb, especially against some of those guys that you thought were going to be good for the Giants. And I believe they only had 3 hits in the whole game. 2 of them went to Arias, and that's basically it. So I don't have the Blue Jays because they did lose. Oh my God, Bichette. He didn't play the whole season, but he did make a pretty big impact for them. The team, you always have the World Series hangover, so we'll see how long it takes them to get off the ground. So for them, it is the Yankees. For the Central, have the Guardians. The Guardians look very good. So their pitching looks like it took another step forward. They just are always in that. So it's going to be the Guardians in the Central, and then for the West, I would hope it's the Mariners. They have probably, other than the Guardians, the easiest path there, just because the Astros have lost so many guys. But the Astros just have an amazing pitching development farm, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Astros are able to take that away from the Mariners. But as of right now, for playoffs, Seattle, Houston, Yankees, Blue Jays, Guardians, and Tigers.
Yeah, say it. I mean, I think it's very fair with the Yankees. And I know that obviously they lost Bichette, but I mean, they got Dylan Cease, which maybe an overpay, maybe not. Like if he can get to the Dylan Cease that he was in Chicago before he traded to the Padres, that's an amazing addition. Kazuma Okamoto, one of the top names out of the NPB, like he's gonna be a stud. And hey, you can't forget the D-back legend Joe Mantiply is now a Blue Jay, so him alone is gonna push that bullpen there a little. Which I guess going back to it, would you rather have no lefties or a lefty like Joe Mantiply in your pen?
No lefties.
Yeah. I'd
I'm
rather deal
done.
with the no lefties. I'd rather deal with Joe Ross going up against Otani, Freeman, and Kyle Tucker than Joe Mantiply throwing up spinning meatballs up there once again like we saw last year. But yeah, I think you make a compelling case, especially for the Cubs too. I can see why, outside of Miz, the rotation's a little bit weak there. The Cubs, I mean, Cade Horton's an absolute stud there in Chicago. I think he finished up like second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Drake Baldwin last year. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Cubs do win that division. I think the Pirates are going to be, I could see the Reds falling back a little bit. I could see the Pirates being a close third. Honestly, that'd be kind of fun to see out of them. But it's just the
Yeah,
beautiful
I
thing
think
about
there's
baseball
a,
is
I think there's a lot of like 500 or close to 500 teams in the NL in general.
yeah, one of the nice things about the extra wild card spot is, and then facing every single team is, man, these games, like Brandon said, that 4-gamer against Atlanta, any 4-gamer is huge, but especially in the same league, on a team that if the Mets don't make the play, or if the Mets win their division, the Braves are going to be fighting with every other team to have a better record for those tiebreaker scenarios. So that's why each one of these games is big, because there's so many tie-breaking scenarios that come into play at the end of the season. And with the NL being a lot more stacked than the AL, it's gonna be an interesting ride. I could see we're in for some surprises. I think there's some locks there. I know Victoria Vi, our OG in here, is even saying, I just want to give the Dodgers a run for their money, literally. And then I'm keeping it realistic. We will not be taking the NL West, and I think I think we're all in agreement. Yeah, we're not going to be taking the NL West. But hey, if we can at least make it to where it's not September 1st and the Dodgers have already clinched the division, or even like August, 16th, and they're already like 21 games above 21 games above on second place. That's an accomplishment on my end, but they're literally the Avengers of baseball. Like, they've spent billions on the roster. They should be winning the division by miles. But Brandon, my good sir, passing it on to you. Looking at the divisions, kind of how all these other teams in baseball have built out their 26-man rosters. What are your predictions on each division across baseball? Who do you think is going to be taking home the divisional crown? Then, obviously, how do you think the NL West will be shaking down here as once we finish off the 162-game marathon in 2026?
I mean, like we said, Dodgers are taking the West. I think they get over 100 wins easily. Um, it's going to be interesting how early do they clinch, because the 2 years here that they've won back to back, they've clinched the division like pretty close to the end of the season, so they have something to play for that entire month. The years that they struggled in the playoffs was when they clinched super early. So that's something to keep an eye on. Like, do do they want to clinch early, or do they want to have to be able to play meaningful baseball up to that like last week or so of the regular season? I think the rest of the West, it's interchangeable between Giants, Padres, and D-backs. I think they're all very similar. They all have major red flags with their rosters. Like, San Diego doesn't have any starting pitching. We don't have any bullpen. I think the Giants' offense is not that great. So there's all three things right there. I think the Central is the Cubs, personally. I think second place though is the Pirates. I think I think Paul Skeens is going to have a sub 2 ERA. I
I mean,
think
that's
Paul
you can book that. His entire career has been sub 2 so far.
I think Paul Skeens is gonna like, and they did spend a lot of money. They made some trades to improve that roster, so they could potentially be a wild card team. I
Brandon Lau's
still
gonna be
have
solid on that team.
I still have the Phillies winning the East. I think the Phillies just are too stacked. They got too much talent. They got a great manager. So I think the Phillies take the East. So then my wild card is two of the three are also in the East. I think the Mets and the Braves get it, and then whoever's in second place there in the Central, whether that's the Brewers or the Pirates, is going to be that third wild card. American League, I got Seattle in the West. I don't think Houston's that good. I think their run is kind of finally coming to an end, personally. Unless Christian Walker has a bounce back, I think there's a lot of Jeremy Pena, like, literally just came back, so he'd been out for a couple of weeks. Central, I personally have the Tigers. I think their starting pitching could be absolutely
Yeah,
deadly.
having Fromber in that rotation, like, as long as the catcher doesn't call for a pitch he doesn't want, they're set.
Yeah. And then the East, until they give me a reason not to, I'm going with the Blue Jays again. Um, so then I think wild card is Yankees and Red Sox, and then Guardians. So not many bold things other than saying the Pirates might finish second in the NL
I kind of
Central.
like that. I kind of like that. I think the
Um,
Pirates are going to be a pretty sneaky
I
team.
think they bring up Connor Griffin by May 1st, the number one prospect in all of Major League Baseball. I think he's brought up fairly quickly, and he's going to give that team a good boost. And I think he potentially could be NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, say especially if he comes up, even it doesn't have to be the full season, but he's definitely got a good case because the NL rookie slot, I feel like it's going to be a little bit weak this year. Obviously, coming out of camp, I don't think there's as many rookies that are really like eye catching that could be favorites so far to win Rookie of the Year. But before we, I guess, get into our final topic, I do like how we're all it's so tough picking division winners because sometimes you kind of base off what we saw last year and you try to take as much of roster construction and off seasons into account here. But sometimes it's one of those where you're like, hey, like Brandon said about the Blue Jays, like until I'm shown wrong, like I'm still gonna pick this team to win the division, and I think that's what a lot of us are kind of going with. But beautiful thing is I think we're going to be in for some surprises. I would love to see the Pirates finish in second place. I mean, that city, it's a beautiful city. I don't know if you guys remember when they were a wild card team back when it was a winner go home game against like the Cubs, like their blackouts. Like that's a great baseball city. It's a great sports town. They deserve to have a good solid roster and actually have some success for once because, man, they're almost as cursed as we are at times. But because Brandon was talking about Connor Griffin, I do at least want to bring up a name because I don't know as many people. If you're a real ball knower, obviously he's a top prospect in the sport. But come Dbacks opening series against the Tigers, I know we're obviously going to be looking out for our guys, like see how Corbin does with his hand injury, and no more hamate bone. See if he can fully keep that power up there. Jordan Lawler, if his spring is going to translate into the regular season. Keep an eye out for Kevin McGonigal on the Tigers. Like he's one of the best hitters in the sport. I mean, he was the number 2 prospect right behind Connor Griffin. I think on pretty much every prospect ranking system. So we're definitely going to see, I think, at least one start from him. He did crack the opening day roster for the Tigers. So obviously we're rooting for the D-backs to win every one of those games. But if there was a player to go watch and kind of keep an eye out, could be a potential future superstar in the making, is definitely Kevin McGonigal. So keep an eye out for him, whether you're going to the game in person or if you're watching at home. Make sure you tune in for his at-bats because the dude is going to be a special player, and we can at least, look back on it and be like, hey, like I remember watching that guy, on his first couple starts in the major league in the major leagues and where he's gone to now. So keep an eye out for him. But getting back into some actual D-backs related news, obviously we got some of our roster talk out of the way, some of our predictions. As we said at the beginning of the show, we are officially under, I think, even 24 hours away from first pitch on the D-backs Dodgers and the season getting fully underway. First pitch tomorrow will be at 5:30 Pacific, or 5:30 Mountain Time. So 5:30 our time, the game will be starting against the Dodgers. If you're a D-back fan in LA, good luck to you trying to get tickets. I don't know why you would, but even for like nosebleeds, it's like $150 for that game. Going to be Gallen against Yamamoto. Obviously, Yamamoto always seems to have our number, unless you're Gabriel Moreno or Ketel Marte. I feel like those are the only two that have seen him well over the time. Gallen making his potentially, I know we talked about it last year, potentially his last opening day start as a D-back, so might as well cherish it while it's here. But I guess one final predictions that we have here is just actually on the D-backs themselves and, their performance is, who do you think is going to have the first hit, home run, RBI, strikeout? Obviously hitting, of course, because I know Zach Gallen being the starter is probably going to have a couple Ks. And then maybe what your prediction on the final score is. Obviously, if you predict the D-backs losing, understandable. Don't want people to say that we're fake fans because we, trying to be realistic. But for me, I think the first hit, I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's Geraldo Perdomo. I could see, him having the first one there. Actually, you know what? No. First hit. It's going to be the first at-bat of the season. This guy. Having the first hit, home run, RBI. He's going to go bomb off Yamamoto right there. Corbin Carroll, that's my pick. That's my bold prediction, is Corbin Carroll's going to start the season taking Yamamoto deep there and checking off all 3 of those on the list there. And then I guess my first strikeout going into full hater mode, it's Pavin Smith. We all know it's Pavin Smith. So me runners on like second and third. Runners on like second and third or whatnot. He's going to be in a clutch situation. He's going to strike out. Like that's what it's going to be. And then final score, what I hope it would be, I would love to see a little, like a 6-3, maybe an 8-5 D-backs final score. But considering how the Dodgers kind of own Zach Gallen, if we get the first half Zach Gallen, I would not be surprised at all if it's a 8-2 Dodgers, especially if Yamamoto's coming off. I mean, dude, World Series MVP. If he pitches like he did in the World Series, GG's, man, GG's. Like we're not sniffing any part of his hittable pitches. As Scott Mack, welcome in, my friend. I know you're tuning on in here a little bit late. We always appreciate having you on in here. So let us know your thoughts on anything we're talking about here. Yeah, McGonagall is the real deal. But we appreciate you tuning on in. But let us know your predictions as well for the game tomorrow. But Gabe, passing on to you. Final score, hit, RBI, home run, strikeout. Who do you think is going to be the D-back to accomplish the first for each one of these this season?
Guess hit. I'll do Lawler. He is lower enough in the lineup. You give Yamamoto enough time, he probably is going to hang a splitter. So that's probably what it's going to end up being. First strikeout, it's probably going to be Corbin just because of the swing and miss that he has. First home run, a part of me doesn't think there's going to be any home runs for the D-backs tomorrow. And for the final score...
It could even be game two. Who do you think is going to be the first one in general?
First one in general, I'll do Gabby. I think he's been hitting the ball hard enough recently. And for the final score, I'll do 6-3 Dodgers.
Fair, yeah, keeping it reasonable. Honestly, that's the true ball knower of the show here, Gabe. Which I think that's all fair. I think yes, I'm hyped about Corbin, but he does have some swing and miss, especially Yamamoto and his nasty splitter. Where if he's going there swinging for the fences, I could see him being the first K of the season. But fingers crossed so we can get to him early and get to that Dodgers bullpen. Which it's that doesn't get much better than us. My God, that bullpen is the hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby when you compare their bullpen to ours. My goodness. Brandon, passing on to you, my friend. Who do you think is going to be the first D-back to accomplish hit, RBI, home run, strikeout, and then what do you think the final score is going to be tomorrow?
So you said Carroll, and I was thinking Marte is going to do it. Marte is going to take Yamamoto deep. It's going to be just like a pimp home run shot. He's going to be hunting fastball. He's going to get it. So he's going to get that hit, home run, RBI, one off the board. I was on the same page with you. Who gets the first strikeout? Pavin Smith, because he swings and misses way too much for me. Way too much for me. Definitely. I hate to say it, but we are losing game one. Yamamoto is just so good. That splitter is just so good.
I think it might be the best splitter in the sport.
I have them winning 8-3.
Yeah, I think if we put up I think it's going to be an Aaron Judge low leverage situation where if we put up any runs, it's going to be when the game's pretty much already decided. Ninth inning, we get a 2-run shot by, maybe Gabby, and it's like, woohoo, we didn't get shut out opening day. Yay. But hey, I'm, like I said, all night tonight, I'm open for some surprises. I'd be okay with a little surprise, victory to start off the season because that can get the juices flowing the rest of the series, the rest of the month there, and really get things, get the optimism meter from to I know PHNX put out a funny meme today of the Peter Griffin on the phone. It's like, hello, we're back department. Yes, I'd like to file a claim. Well, that's gonna be if we win against the Dodgers tomorrow. That's gonna be fully me. Like we're so back. We've never been more fucking back. World Series parade planning out, all that fun stuff. But yeah, so it sucks we got to open up the season against the Dodgers. We don't do it too often. I know I always have horrible flashbacks to us opening up the season against the Dodgers in Australia, and I think ever since then, every opening series against them is just always sucks. Sucks even more that they're going to be doing thankfully it's not like we faced them in the playoffs last year, but they're going to be all getting their rings. There's going to be a huge celebration, new ceremony, all that fun stuff. The crowd is going to be into it every pitch. So it's going to be hostile.
They aren't going to show up till the third inning, so
yeah, true. That's a great point. As they always do, but hey, they'll show up in the third, they'll leave in the seventh there, because traffic is so bad they gotta beat it on their way home and all that. But I'm excited. Whether they win or lose, it's a brand new season. It's a brand new start. We get some real baseball back here, and we actually get to get back into our normal podcast, man. I love doing the series recaps. I love getting to dive into some actual in-game analysis. see like the different, especially when it comes to like pitchers, seeing like from start to start. I know that's one thing that Gabe always looks out for and points out, like whether guys were tipping, little bits here and there, like swing changes, delivery changes, all that fun stuff, and that's what I just love about baseball being back in general. It's the best sport. It's the best time of year, and we actually get something to watch every single day. It's not like some of these other sports where basketball's on too fucking late in the day anyway, and it feels like they play every other day at best. Where it's like, dude, I'm not gonna stay up until 8:30 to watch the Suns play against the Nuggets. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I love the Suns. It's too late for me. It already sucks when we have to play the Dodgers and games start at 7:10. I'm like, dude, I'm an old man here. Please, can we get this rolling? So pretty much every day we get something to watch. It'll be a little weird this Sunday because the D-backs only play the Dodgers Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they have Sunday off before they come back home. So that'll be a little strange, but we at least get other games to watch in general, and we just get D-backs baseball back, man. We get some real baseball back, and get to go back to Chase Field. I'm excited for the home opener to see the new scoreboard. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the bunch of the stats they put out. It's like 53% bigger. The team was so bad on the exhibition game against the Guardians on Monday that the scoreboard was the player of the game. Like the new ribbons, the new sound.
I saw them when I went to the fan fest, and you can tell like it's a huge difference between the screen. It's a lot less like pixelated, and you can't really. Cause there's times where from certain angles you saw a lot of the reflection from the stadium lights on it, and so it's just really really good quality. It feels like you're actually watching in 4K, and it's so clearly much bigger, and the also the ribbons around. They didn't have those on yet, I believe, but they were there. They had some extra ribbons, and they seem slightly larger as well.
Yes, I love it. Next year, obviously, I know people have been asking for AC, and people are like, well, why did this not AC? Guys, they've said it multiple times. The AC will be fixed, I believe, after the season. So hopefully, like I think next year is when we're gonna get new AC. Thankfully, fingers crossed and all that fun stuff. But you get to try new food, get to see a new stadium, just get to see a brand new season of baseball. And again, if you guys are gonna be at any games and you see us in the crowd, if you guys are in the Discord as well, and you're going to a game, let us know. Ping us in the Discord, add us on social media. Try to I love to meet with you guys as much as possible. Love to get to put a face to the name, get to talk D-backs baseball and all that. Whether you want to take a photo or just chat about the D-backs in general. If you see us or know we're gonna be there, just let us know, and we love to meet up with you guys. And again, you guys, if it wasn't for you guys, it would just be us three here talking to nobody, screaming into the ether of the internet where there's so many other podcasts. So, and we're very grateful for all of you guys for helping us build out this little community that we got over here, our little slice of the D-backs fan network that we got over here. So again, appreciate you guys. Any single time you have a chance at the game to say what's up to us, always feel free to. But before we got out of here, any final thoughts? Any things you guys maybe wanted to swing back on? Any other final things you wanted to get to before we are officially getting real pitches thrown in the 2026 season?
No, just excited for tomorrow. It's gonna be an exciting day. So no matter if the D-backs win or lose, it's still gonna be exciting just because we're gonna have baseball back, and there's that like really famous. I mean, it's been around for a while where people say like I can't wait for my mood to be determined, whether or not my team wins or loses. So I guess I'm excited for that. But there's a lot of games on tomorrow, so it's gonna be exciting. The Pirates and Mets, Paul Skeens, even the Red Sox. I mean, I am interested in the Red Sox how they're going to look this season, but Tigers and Padres at 1. So there's quite a few games that are going to be worth watching in the morning and afternoon for, the real baseball heads out there who just want to consume baseball.
Yeah, dude, I watch, especially during the season. It sucks. I'll be working. I'll get to at least watch the D-backs game at the start, but I'll definitely be working in the final like 7, 8, 9 innings. So I already cleared with my boss. I get to wear my jersey on stream, which I'm happy about. But yeah, I'm usually most opening days. I mean, I have the home opener off, so thankfully I'll be there for that one. But yeah, tomorrow gonna be. I don't even care who's playing. It could be the White Sox. What is it? The White Sox and Brewers. I'll tune in to watch the White Sox, Brewers, Nationals, Cubs, Orioles, Twins, like teams that I don't normally watch. Just because, man, having real baseball back, it's nothing beats it, man. It should be a national holiday. Make opening day a national holiday. Let everybody get it off. Because even the people that don't care about baseball will be like, cool, thanks, man. Holiday day off. Thank you. I'll take it. Brandon, any final thoughts you had to hear before we want to get out?
No, just want to bring up Scott's comment here. You guys think this team will make post? I personally don't.
It would need a lot of things to fall in in ways that they would
Yeah,
definitely
I
need a
mentioned
lot,
it
a lot.
earlier. Mentioned it earlier in the pod that I think, as currently constructed, no, but obviously things change midway through the season when we get certain guys back, or if they're just close enough, it could always change. I think this team's, the floor is 75 wins, the ceiling is about 85 or so.
Yeah, so definitely at the way it's built right now, and kind of how we're seeing on paper, I don't think so, but always down for some eating of my words and being wrong, especially when it comes to this team being better than what we're all planning. But we got a long ways to go. Every game matters, and that all starts tomorrow. So. Again, we appreciate all of you guys tuning on in to another fun, exciting episode of Dbacks Dispatch, as this is our final off-season episode. The next time you guys will see us, we'll get to do some actual post-series recaps. I'm so excited. It's going to be an absolute blast. So make sure you guys follow us on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, especially on our Twitter. Guys, I'm not even lying to you. Twitter in season is the best place to follow our follow us, because our man Gabe, Josh will just be putting out bangers. It's a great time to get some analysis, just have some fun. You get some great memes, get to laugh along the season. It's a long season, so you got to find as much humor in it as you possibly can. And that place is definitely on our Twitter page. So again, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Join the Discord as well. Like I said, it's a great place to be. Even if you don't have social media, like if you don't have Twitter. Discord, you should find it pinned in the description on anything, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, all that is absolutely free. You don't got to pay a single dime to even have Discord or to even join our Discord. So we'd love to have you guys join in there. Tell your friends, if you have somebody else, like a family member or somebody else that is a D-back fan and you think they'd enjoy it too, send them the link. The link should work no matter what. Send them the link, have them join the Discord, hop in there, because it's a great place to be during the games as well. We got a whole thread, not even just D-backs, whether it's whatever you can think of. We pretty much have a channel in there. So we'd love to have you guys join the community in there, and get ready for a fun and exciting 2026 season. And then finally, with the season about to begin, the place to get daily D-backs content. So many written articles literally every single day, anywhere from 5 to even over a 10. I know tomorrow there's going to be a ton, is over at azsnakepit.com. It is some of the best writers in the D-backs community that do it for the love of the game. They're not getting paid to put out, awful articles. They're not getting, put behind paywalls. It's absolutely free. It's free to make an account over there. Great community involvement, some great writers. I know our man Jeff over there. I know Corlick Thomas, the Corbin Carroll enthusiast, has also put out a couple fan posts over there. So even if you yourself are an aspiring writer and want to get writing on some D-backs content, that is a place to post it as well. But again, azsnakepit.com. Our man Josh does some written content on the dispatch side. So if you want some more dispatch side, or dispatch in your life, especially in the written side, Josh does an amazing job on the written articles. Literally, like he's the MVP for what he does with those. So make sure you guys check it out every single day. Again, so many articles. Tomorrow's going to be a very exciting time for all of us, and if you just need any kind of written D-backs content in your life, the pit is where it is at. So in the meantime, you guys all have a fantastic rest of your evening. Hopefully you guys can sleep well. I know I'm not going to. I'm just already excited for tomorrow, and hopefully when you see you guys again after this Dodger series, we can have at least one win to talk about, and if not, at least some exciting names and exciting performances to talk about. But you guys all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. Go D-backs, and let's get ready for an exciting 2026 campaign. Take it easy, my friends.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brennan, Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it on.